Thanks for joining us, Chris. And as we ask everyone, how did you get into baseball?
Family, I guess. Started. My older brother played baseball when he was growing up, and as a younger brother, you tend to follow in the footsteps of the older siblings. So it all started from there a real long time ago.
And you grew up in Queensland, in Ipswich, and you played for the Musketeers as a junior?
Yep. Started off before Musketeers at North Ipswich for one season, and then moved over to Musketeers. Finished off my last year of junior baseball with the Norfolk Rockies down at Ormo near the Gold Coast, and but I mean it was all great times and had a lot of good memories from that time in my life.
Okay, and you made it some Queensland junior teams along the way, but you were not drafted or signed by any clubs after your junior days?
No. No, I was a bit unlucky and unfortunate. Actually, the '94 strike happened when I was an up-and-coming junior, I guess you would say. So that kind of put a hold on things for a couple of years. So I kind of missed out on the early boat of going to the States as a youngster. But I mean, in the long run, looking back at it, it was probably for the best. I don't know if I was ready for it as a 17, 18-year-old kid.
That's a very good point you make, and a lot of the guys that have the success and reach the big leagues like you have all say that they probably had more success because they were older when they first went over.
Yeah, it had a lot to do with maturity. Like I physically wasn't ready to be over there at 17, 18 years old. Like I was a lot smaller. I didn't develop any velocity until I was 20, 21. My body wasn't ready to be in the gym every day. So for me it was at that stage, physically or mentally, I wasn't ready to be a professional baseball player.
So you finished the juniors and you continued to play in the Brisbane League.
Yep.
For a few years?
Yeah, I did. Went and joined the Southside Indians at Runcorn in '94 and played there until '99. And after the '99 season, had to mull over some options. I was in a relationship with a lovely young lady, and we were talking about moving and stuff like that, and trying to figure out where my life was going. So it was a lot of fun times playing at Runcorn and playing with the Indians. A lot of good blokes come out of that time.
So what happens then? I mean, how did you actually get over to the USA?
Well, one of my mates was talking about doing a tour to the United States as just to go over there and work and play some kind of amateur baseball, and word got around about it going on, and there was an opportunity that came up through Mike Young, who was the Australian manager at that stage, to go and try out for an independent league team in Chicago if I was interested. So I grabbed that with both hands, and lucky for me, I turned up, flew in and turned up, and they'd had two guys get injured on their previous road trip, so I didn't even have to try out. They just threw me straight onto the roster.
And that was around the year 2000?
Yeah, 2000 that was. Spent half the year there playing independent ball, and that was my first real taste of baseball, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and just nothing else. And that was an eye-opening experience. I mean, making absolutely no money, but just loving being around it and playing and stuff like that. And it led to a really long career. So I'm very thankful for that first taste of baseball.
Yeah. So what happened at the end of the 2000 season?
I got lucky actually. A scout from the Padres came into town, and we had a huge storm blow in and washed out the whole series. It blew over our outfield fence and destroyed our stadium. So they were talking about if there was anybody there that'd be worthy of going to a tryout camp that they were holding at the end of the season, and my name got thrown into a hat with a bunch of other guys, and got to hang around for a couple of weeks after the independent league season finished, and ended up going to a tryout camp and was lucky enough to get an opportunity to sign with the Padres out of there.
And how old were you by this stage?
I was 23 when I did all of this. So I was a lot ready to do this. I knew it was something that I wanted to try and wanted to give a go. So I was able to be more focused and just put everything into it that I could, because it had been a lifelong dream for me to, have an opportunity to play baseball, and then sign with the Padres was, all of those dreams come true.
And then following year 2001 would have been your first year?
Yep, 2001 spring training. Out of spring training, made the low A team. And first taste of real baseball. It was professional baseball in an organisation, and it was just awesome. Spent the majority of the year there. In August, got sent up to High A in the California League, and got a taste of what the next level up was, and that continued on into the next year in 2002. Started off the year in Elsinore again. Unfortunately got hurt early in the year and spent a bunch of time on the disabled list, but came back, and the organisation told me that I needed to sink or swim, so they were sending me to Double A, and I had to prove myself there for a shot to come back the next season. So came off the DL, went to Double A for the last month, did really well. Had shoulder surgery in the off season, and was extremely thankful for having that done. It was the first time in I don't know how long I could actually throw a baseball without any pain. So it was the best thing that happened to me.
And you also would have got some other good news into 2002, was it, or 40 man?
No, that was next year. 2003, I started off in Double A. Was relieving at that time. I wasn't starting, and about a month into the season, the team told me that they wanted me to become a starting pitcher at that stage, and transferred out of the bullpen and into the starting role, and absolutely thrived, and finished the year as one of the best pitchers in the league. And that was the year I got told that I'd been put on the 40-man roster, and that I was considered a big leaguer at that stage. So that was just one of the most amazing feelings that you can have as a baseball player, is getting told you're part of the 40-man of the organisation. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so that would have lent into 2004 big league camp, and some other big stuff happened for you in 2004.
Well, 2003 was a big year. I got told I was on the roster, got married, did all those fun and crazy things you do as a young adult, and then turned up to big league camp. First time being involved in that. First time meeting and getting to know the big leaguers and spending time around there and seeing how they go about their business. And they were pretty honest with me and told me straight away that I wasn't going to make the club out of spring training, that I was there to get some experience, get a feel for being around the organisation and the major league team, and just to become comfortable with it, because I was going to be there at some stage. So went to Triple A for the whole year of 2004. Did really well. I was pretty happy with my season in general, and got a call throughout the year to say that I'd been put on the Olympic squad for the Aussie team, and if I was available to go, that they'd love to have me. So was fortunate enough to make a trip to Athens for the 2004 Olympic Games, and man, I can't tell you the experience that was of not only being a baseball player, but being at the Olympic Games was amazing. And coming away with the success that we had there, led into another off season of preparing for big league camp again in 2005, and it was just a whirlwind 12 months of what happened.
Now, I know you hadn't achieved the ultimate call up by this stage, but all the other guys I've spoken to on that gold medal team rate that on that silver medal team, I beg your pardon, rate that as one of the greatest experiences of their life. Oh,
no doubt. It's always a proud moment that you get to put on your nation's colours, regardless of what you do and how you represent it. There's nothing more important than doing that at the ultimate level, and then getting an opportunity to go to the Olympic Games and walk in the opening ceremony and being amongst the top athletes in the world. 15,000 of the best athletes in the world gathered in one place is the electricity in the air in the stadium around those other athletes was just phenomenal. And then to come away with the success that we had after we lost the first two games in a row, and we were on the brink of getting eliminated in the first round, and to come back and have a chance to go through to the qualifying round, to see if we have a chance to win a medal, and end up winning the silver medal, and to stand up on the dais you know, I still get goosebumps and chills to this day, and that's 11 years ago. So, the greatest experience with the greatest bunch of guys in you know, the greatest place in the world. You know, the home of the Olympic Games where it was all created. So that memory, that team, you know, that'll live forever in my mind as probably the greatest achievement of my career.
That's fantastic. So you finish, you come back, and then you head off back to the USA in 2005, and ended up at the Ultimate.
Yeah, the culmination of another successful season in AAA was a call up in September, and I remember how it all went down. You know, I was friends with the guy who'd been called up earlier in the year, and he's like, you know, you're going to get the call up. They're going to call you up. It's your second year on the 40-man roster. They're going to call you up. You're, you know, one of the most successful pitchers in the organisation. I'm like, yeah, cool. So I get called into the office by our manager at AAA, who I'd had all parts of all of my career in San Diego, and he calls me in. He's like, hey, he goes, sit down. We've got some things to talk about. I'm like, yeah, cool. He's like, oh yeah, you know, nice outing the other day, this, that, and the other. You're probably not going to start again for the rest of the year, so you need to think about going home in the off season and preparing. I'm like, yeah, cool, no worries. He's like, oh yeah, that's all we need to talk about today. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, no worries, thanks. He's like, oh, as I'm about to walk out the door, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, he goes, pack you're going to San Diego tonight. And I was just like, okay, cool, yep, no worries, and I just walked out the door. It wasn't until I got back to my locker that I walked back to the office. I'm like, I'm sorry? He's like, yeah, pack your stuff, you're going to the big leagues. That leads me backwards a little bit. About 12 months earlier, him and I had sat in his office over a few beers. I was ready to quit. I'd had 3 bad outings in a row. I was putting so much pressure on myself, and I walked into his office and said, I'm done. This is it. I was ready to leave baseball. You know, that's right after coming back from the Olympics and being successful at the Olympics. And him and I sat down over, you know, a bunch of beers late one night and talked, and best thing he ever said to me, he said, would it matter if you made it to the big leagues or not? And, you know, that's a question that everybody needs to ask themselves in their travels, in their baseball careers. You need to know whether it will matter whether you make it or not. And to be honest with you, it doesn't. You know, you're only going to succeed as high as you can go. Whether you make it or not, it doesn't really affect who you are. Like, the fact that you're there, you're a professional baseball player. Yes, you want to get to the big leagues and you want to be a big leaguer, but only you can answer the question of whether it will actually matter or not.